been an entrepreneur. And when I was a kid, I was always starting businesses, even from a very early age. I was constantly selling something to the family, something for the neighborhood. And for me, it was always both an expression of just being motivated, but also it was always for a reason. I wanted to grow up as fast as I could. And I felt like the way to do that is to have access to resources and show that I can do something. And when I started, I went to college to be an entrepreneur, to study business. During my last year there, I realized, well, part of what drives me in this is not only realizing my own potential, but helping other people realize theirs. I guess I was starting to be just a little bit less self-centered at that age. When I finally broke out of it was when I studied abroad, and it kind of got me out of the loop of just trying to get to the next grade. And when I came back from that experience, I had a little bit more of an open mind as to where I wanted to put my time. I decided to sign up to teach inner city kids in Philadelphia, knowing that I was kind of heading in this direction, wanted to explore it. And it was such an eye-opener to step foot in a 7th grade classroom in West Philadelphia and start to understand people who had a totally different background than mine and a totally different access. So it was a frustrating experience, also an incredibly enlightening experience and inspiring one, because I felt like if you reach kids at the right point, they still have a sense of infinite possibility. And it's a very fragile moment, because right as they're starting to get to know the adult world, that can easily be taken away. And not too long after I first set foot in the classroom where I was teaching, my teacher who was guiding me said, just so you know, this is a community where more than half of the kids are going to drop out, and 1 in 6 of the boys in your classroom is going to go to jail. And when you hold that statistic in your mind, along with a whole bunch of fresh faces that have a lot of excitement and energy and youthfulness in them, it's pretty jarring, and you realize something is not right about this situation. I just felt that there is no better return on my time and no better return on a successful venture than helping kids. Because when you can shift someone's path at an early age, they have that much more of their trajectory ahead of them to show the results of that. So that led me to teach and led me to do what I'm doing now at Spark. But it's that same kind of entrepreneurial drive, just applied a little differently than when I was 15 and starting different businesses to try to buy a car. We live in a country where 30% of American kids drop out of high school, so about 1 in 3 nationally. And when you zoom in on a city like Philadelphia or Los Angeles, the majority of kids drop out of high school. And when I realized that, I'm still grappling with that statistic, but when I realized that, it was all the pointer I needed for what I wanted to do. And when you drill into that, you realize kids make those choices to drop out before they get into high school. And in large part, they make them in middle school. That's when kids are starting to wonder about what's out there for them in the adult world. And if there's no sense of access, if you live in a community where 3/4 of the people around you are dropping out, and your parents and your friends' parents are working minimum wage jobs, they don't have a college education, it's pretty hard to have a real tangible example of where that will get you. So the whole core of Spark is reach kids at that pivotal early age in middle school and give them a one-on-one experience, an apprenticeship, where they can see for themselves that if they do well in school, this is what's waiting for you. You can be an architect, you could be a web designer, a veterinarian, whatever profession it is that really gets you motivated. And we always start with asking them, what are your interests? What's your dream job? It's amazing what happens. I mean, oftentimes the kids who are the most disruptive and challenging in class are the most successful when they realize they can put that energy to a good use. So we've been doing this for about 7 years. So our very first students are now in college, which is such a joy to see the whole trajectory. One of our first students came from a very tough background and was taken out of an abusive home in a foster situation. And she chose to be a social worker for her apprenticeship. And she had a social worker and wanted to know what it's like to be on the other side of the table. So we matched her with a social worker, and as with all of our apprenticeships, they do a tangible project together. So their project was, what are all the different services that are available in this community? How do you be resourceful, in other words? Long story short, this student advocated for herself to get into a terrific high school, and then, where she is now, she got into Stanford University on a full-ride scholarship, and she's studying to be a social worker. And I just think of how passionate and effective of a social worker she'll be, and we'll certainly sign her up to be a mentor when the time comes, because of the trajectory that she's seen and the chance that she had to access something that showed her this is possible. There are great people everywhere, and sometimes they just need a reason or a structure to do what it is they already know is the right thing to do. People asked us when we first started looking for mentors, for example, you can't just go call people and expect that they're going to agree to take a 13-year-old. Well, actually, you can. You just have to call enough of them and create an opportunity that feels like structured and credible and safe. And I'd say the same thing with navigating a bureaucracy. It can be tough to work with any large entity, whether it's a school district or a big corporation that we work with. But inside that, we find champions and we try to equip them with the tools to do what they already want to do. And really, it's the same exact thing with students. They have their own interests. Oftentimes, they don't see that there's a connection between what they want to do and what school is trying to offer them. We know that there is, but we have to make that clear for them and make it truly facilitative so that school is there to help them reach their goals. We're there to help a mentor reach their goals by creating a great mentoring opportunity. We're here to help a school district reach its goals by helping their kids graduate. That's the position that we always try to take. One definitely is don't wait for perfection. We, at the onset, I've sometimes talked with people who are just finishing college and want to do something in a social enterprise setting, but they don't have the perfect idea yet. And what I always say is we didn't have the perfect idea either. We had 20 different things we wanted to do. And actually what we most wanted to do at the beginning was start a school. And we felt that let's do something that we can handle in a shorter time frame as a test. That temporary thing was Spark. And we had so much fun with it and saw such an effect on the students that we served, our very first group, that we said, well, let's just do it for one more summer. And we'll do it a little bit larger scale, and we'll see if it works again. And it worked again, and so we started building an organization around it. And if we had waited for, the ultimate idea, there was no question about, us being able to achieve it, we'd still be waiting. And then the second point is asking for feedback. We started this knowing nothing about anything. We didn't know how to run a nonprofit. My co-founder and I had never really been educators. We just learned it by asking people what to do and asking and trying something, getting feedback. And I think the more you're comfortable creating a feedback loop and the faster that loop operates, the faster you'll grow. And so that's something we're always trying to learn how to do, but it's become part of the Spark culture. And it extends to our kids too. Our very first session, we taught the curriculum, and then we did a 45-minute session at the end of the day where we asked our students what went well and what didn't go well. And we thought it might be annoying for them. It turns out that was their favorite part of the day. Because how often do adults actually really ask them for their feedback and really want it and write down what they say? And that group felt like they owned it. And the same thing happens for adults. So more feedback and don't wait. That would be my advice. I think a lot of times the volunteers remember why they got into their job in the first place. Something that we realize is even if you love your job and you chose it truly out of passion, things become routine over time, and it's easy to forget how much you know. And when you all of a sudden add a 13-year-old into the equation, and this student is there asking you questions about everything, things that you forgot you even knew, it reminds you how much of an expert you are, and it reminds you that you can teach. The story that I hear again and again from mentors is, I didn't know, when I first went into this, I thought I have no idea what I'm going to talk to them about, and by the end, I realized we're just getting started. And I think a lot of mentors reflect on their job differently and think about it from the perspective of somebody who dreams of doing what they're doing and realizes how lucky they are, how much fun they're having with it. Because things can be made a lot more fun when you're realizing how to explain them to a 13-year-old. You get past a lot of the adult confusion and you get to the heart of what you're doing. And we often hear that people shift how they think about their job. They shift what they want, because I think they're realizing here's someone who's exploring what they want in a very fresh way. I was like that at some point. Maybe I need to make some kind of a shift and understand what my passions are a little differently. I'm biased, obviously. I think that there's no more important function than getting our education system down right. And I hope that people are starting to recognize more broadly how badly it's functioning right now and how much need there is to reform it. I think what I would hope for and what I would ask for and suggest for others is similar to what I said with Spark. Don't wait for the perfect solution. I don't think the education system will be reformed by one majestic bill going through Congress that ties up all the loose edges. I think it'll be reformed by individual people deciding that what they do actually is relevant. It's one of the things that I love most about apprenticeships because everyone has skills. And if you have an easy structure to use those skills, then it's amazing how much impact you can collectively have. You don't have to be the genius who rewrites the education code. You just have to be somebody who knows how to do one thing and will teach that to one person. That's what will fix it more than anything else.